This is the Mid-Age Gamer Report for September 7th, 2012. This week, more Windows 8 madness, Armored Kill starts rolling out, Valve's Greenlight has a toll booth, and games as art. Let's start off with the Department of Duh. Ars Technica recently released an article entitled, "Can a Touchscreen Fix Windows 8 on the Desktop?" I had to stop for a moment after reading that. I read through the article about the author's experiences with the Lenovo Idea Center A720 all-in-one desktop PC. And it just happens to be a touch-sensitive screen on that PC. About $1,800 if you're interested. Okay, in short, the author felt that Windows 8 worked well with a touchscreen PC, but was more of a nice-to-have feature than a touch-optimized operating system worked well with a touchscreen PC. Why, that's almost like iOS working well on an iPad. Among the many less than insightful observations was that the users may find it awkward to interact with a touch service perpendicular to their desktop, as though a user was suddenly going to toss their input devices and instead sprawl across their desktop and reach in vain for their monitor to type a document. I can just see it now. Learn to touch type on your screen. Look, Windows 8 is optimized for a touchscreen, period. To try to pigeonhole it into some dreary workspace routine that we've been putting up with for years and, getting sore backs and carpal tunnel from is just short of ignorant. The days of the keyboard macro and special key combinations are on the way out. Why? Because that's what the consumer wants. All that extra crap we went through with split keyboards and marble mice was nothing more than an admission that we really don't like the way we're forced to interact with our PCs anyway. I mean, you guys all watch CSI and Star Trek. What are they always doing? Touching stuff, moving stuff around, flailing their arms in the air. We want to do that. Well, here's your first step to it. In console news, industry rumor is currently targeting the spring of 2014 for the release of the next Xbox, while the PlayStation 4 or Orbis is still scheduled for late 2013. Michael Pachter, console industry analyst, says that the delay is the result of, quote, what is certain to be overwhelming demand among hardcore gamers, end quote. More likely it's the result of waiting for Intel price drops on hardware capable of handling what EA labels president Frank Gibeau calls spectacular games currently in development for the new consoles. It's all about the money, folks. In the department of Who Cares, Origin released an update to its Origin client, bringing it to version 9.0.11. The primary fix in this patch is correcting a problem with patches being inconsistently applied to the user's game library. In practice, with the BF3 patch that came down this week, it appears that EA has ditched the separate updater and instead rolled the patch into their repair installer. In FPS land, we're drawing ever closer to the full release of the next DLC pack for Battlefield 3. Armored Kill went live on PS3 for premium members September 4th, preceded by a large patch across all platforms the same day. Sorry, PC and Xbox, you get to wait another week for the DLC. For those of you who chose not to pay for the game twice, aka not premium members, The regular release is due out on the 18th for PS3 and 25th for Xbox and PC. That schedule follows the standard 2-week lead premium members enjoy. What's far more interesting than the new DLC, however, are the tweaks from the latest patch that accompanies Armored Kill. As with most patches that precede DLC, this one's a big one, coming in at over 2 gig on the PC and around 1.5 gig for Xbox and PS3. The changes it makes have a lot to do with the DLC and community whining. Yet again, DICE has decided to fiddle with the weapon effectiveness, making some weaker and others stronger. Most interesting is the removal of flare guns for helicopter gunners in attack choppers, and increased effectiveness of rockets from other helicopters and jets, which means you better hope your pilot has flares. I know I've saved more than one helicopter because the pilot didn't. Here's a few of the things in the official list of tweaks or hacks or whatever you want to call them. They've changed some damage output and range adjustments here. Increased the range of the UMP. Increased the long-range damage of the PP2000. M1911 has longer range. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the guns go boom better and some go boom worse. The biggest thing is, I mean, they've pretty much crippled the helicopter. They've added a little bit of boom back into the AA gun so that now if you shoot a tank with happening to be in a mobile AA, you can actually do some damage again, but not much. You know, in any case, you know, I've provided some of this, and there's links to it on the on both the blog and in the links down on the YouTube page, so you can check it out yourself there. But in the end, it's just all for the sake of DLC and somebody whining. I mean, really, they had to mess with the repair tool, like the repair tool was somehow unbalancing the game. You know, that's their excuse for everything these days when they're playing with these weapons. It's, you know, oh, we're restoring the game balance. How come the game keeps getting even more unbalanced every time they release a patch? I'm starting to wonder if I'm playing the same game. Maybe I'm already playing Battlefield 4. You know, it's one thing to be in touch with your community, but it's quite another to accede to their whims while not correcting core issues with the game. I'm sick of game balancing tweaks. Figure out the merits and weaknesses of the arsenal and leave it at that. Yes, a better sniper rifle with a better scope is going to kill people more easily. A tank shell should always have the same potential to do damage. So what if someone doesn't like it? That's the game. You adapt and move on. It's literally like DICE changes the rules with every patch. Enough with the tweaking already. And now for 2 pieces of news from Valve. Steam's new Greenlight community project, which aims to showcase the work of indie game developers, has decided to stick a $100 toll booth in their way. It started out free on August 30th with submissions from hopefuls voted on by the Steam community. Those with the most votes would win a place in the Steam catalog. Apparently, community policing wasn't enough to keep the rabble out, however. Games with sex themes or questionable quality began almost immediately cluttering up the place, forcing Valve to devote extra resources to weeding out the baddies. In an effort to prevent the initiative from becoming a full-time job, Valve instituted the fee to try to curb the avalanche of submissions. It seems to me that the great experiment has already failed. If you truly want an unrestricted and uninhibited flow of creativity, you can't put a toll gate up. You have to take the chaff with the wheat if you want to harvest. If it means you have to develop community standards and pay a full-time employee to enforce them to get what you're after, then just do it. What delicious irony that just a few weeks ago, old Gabe was complaining about Microsoft Store fees for developers. In other Valve news, the popular game developer and sales portal is apparently unhappy with the state of PC hardware. Posting a Help Wanted ad on the careers section of its website for an industrial designer, it reads, and I quote, "Valve is traditionally a software company. Open platforms like the PC and Mac are important to us. as they enable us and our partners to have a robust and direct relationship with customers. We're frustrated by the lack of innovation in the computer hardware space, though, so we're jumping in. Even basic input, the keyboard and mouse, haven't really changed in any meaningful way over the years. There's a real void in the marketplace, and opportunities to create compelling user experiences are being overlooked. End quote. I'm not sure what old Gabe is after with this one. If he builds something that looks like a PS3 or Xbox, then isn't he just building a console? I mean, if there's going to be holograms and implants involved, that might be something, but this just seems like a case of ruffled feathers. Watch a little Star Trek Next Generation, Gabe. It's clouding your reality. I've got some links, and one of them is to the actual career site. You'll have to click the Industrial Designer link to actually see the full text, if you can. Well, must have been a really slow news week when gaming pundits start waxing poetic about video game visuals as fine art. Both Kotaku and PC Perspective have 3 articles between them this week, either showcasing or debating the art of video games. It seems that video games are ever more stylized, with visuals instantly identifiable with the franchise or development studio. Take Borderlands, for example. They embraced an almost comic book treatment for their visuals. Nobody would ever confuse it with the almost photorealistic vistas of Skyrim or the cartoon feel of Orcs Must Die. In video games, art is as a critical component as the gameplay mechanics. Anyone who's ever felt compelled to just walk around a game environment to look at it knows this all too well. You know, the late Ralph McQuarrie of, Star Wars fame, he would have been proud of what they're putting out these days. But, admit it. I mean, if you played Skyrim for more than 5 minutes, there's no doubt you've probably spent at least a few of them just looking at stuff. The game was designed to be a feast for the eyes, with thousands of hidden details just waiting to reward the wanderer. Still, is the art of Skyrim on par with Picasso? Or is it simply the industrial output of a commodity product? Perhaps it's both, hovering somewhere around Warhol's 100 soup cans. Definitely fodder for a slow news week, and I guess now I've added to it. Oh well. Hey, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll be talking to you. Oh my God, the editing! Oh, the editing! Oh.